Hey, hey, hey! Welcome to Pop Culture Petri Dish. I'm one of your hosts, Abe Epperson.
And I am your other host, Cristian Ramirez.
And this is the show where we talk about the symbiosis between science fiction and science fact. What are we talking about today?
Today, we are talking about sci-fi weapons, with a bigger focus on guns.
All right, cool.
Mm-hmm.
I guess. Yeah. I mean, I don't lack enthusiasm, but I'm just like, I don't want to say guns are cool. But yeah, they're cool.
The functionality of a lot of them in movies is cool, and it's presented as such.
So what are some cool guns in sci-fi?
One of the coolest ones that I thought of when I was doing research for this was the sonic shotgun from Minority Report. Like, a lot of the weaponry there is really cool because if they live in a future where murder has been abolished,
they don't need lethal weapons.
Yeah, they don't need anything that's lethal anymore. That one came up with the sonic shotgun and the six stick, which is also just really like that's. I wish we had that.
Yeah.
If you just have a stick that makes someone throw up, then they're not going to be fighting anymore.
Nah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Plus, think of all the pranks. Riot. Like, we use rubber bullets and tear gas kind of stuff, which just make you very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But they don't kill you. So that we should put money in non-lethal weaponry.
Yeah, to me those are kind of like a logical progression of what are called less lethal forms of weaponry that we have now, because like you were mentioning, the rubber bullets and tear gas and stuff like that, and those can still kill you. Of course.
Yeah.
They're just called less lethal.
Yeah. I mean, you can just like go ham on someone with a rubber shotgun until their face is no longer a face. That's true. I mean, it's not a single bullet from, a mile away from a sniper rifle. That's a little bit better.
Yeah.
A little bit more humane.
Yeah.
I'll say. Yeah. So those are two good ones just because of their non-lethal aspect.
Yeah. It's one thing that I think, like, I think Minority Report's such a cool concept for a movie, and it was a good movie too, but obviously you don't want to enslave people. But they have 3 slaves that eliminated murder from society.
Those are good slaves.
Yeah.
It's bad. You're starting this podcast off bad. But like, I know what you're saying. I know, like, in terms of the utilitarian weight of,
And of course, Minority Report looked really cool, and like a lot of the technology, and it's very sleek, very, all the futuristic stuff in that movie is awesome. And I think also a lot of it is stuff that is going to happen, like the driverless cars and stuff like that, and the screens with the little gloves that Tom Cruise was using.
I mean, I guess holodeck.
Right.
At some point, it will be like, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
But I still I don't want to move my arm. I just want to click the button. So I'm just lazy.
Get a Google Glass and just do that.
No murder. I like those two guns just because of the categorization of what those guns are. What are other cool types of guns that would, I don't know, like change the game?
Yeah. I mean, obviously there's ones like the Judge Dredd.
The one where you dial in like many bullets.
You can say grenade, or
how do they get it all in that
double
one?
whammy? Yeah.
How do they do it?
I don't know. That's a good question, because that one's a little more kind of like fantasy-ish, because the idea, you'd have to have a giant gun to have all those different rounds, and the barrel switching for each of the different rounds.
I like the idea in Judge Dredd where he's just like, he says like, I don't know, he's like incendiary, and then it just like loading 20%. It's just like this really slow gun to switch. He's just like, fucker, because we're so used to games where it's just like, and I got this gun and I got this gun and I switch from that gun with one click.
But the one thing about those guns that are actually probably going to come to pass is the finger recognition, the ones that they will
that
actually.
was a cool thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, we don't have that, but we already have that infiltrating like gun security in terms of like safes that, or like that you can attach something to a gun that is to your fingerprint, and you can't fire it because it literally locks the cocking mechanism.
Yeah, exactly. It is. Yeah, that is definitely a piece of technology that is coming up that I think they've already issued patents for it, because I know people are working on it currently. It's obviously not something that's widely used, but it is something that is being worked on right now. And another thing, and now we're kind of jumping into the more modern versions of these weapons. They're working on guns that can shoot around corners. They're working on stuff that, in this article that I read, the Wired article that I used for a lot of my research on this, they're creating weapons that are able to recognize a target and only fire when the weapon is being pointed at that target, when it's going to be hitting that, whatever this specific specified target is.
Tiny drone strikes.
Yeah. Kind of. Yeah. And then they will still be operated by humans, but the idea of these kinds of safety features, I mean, I'm glad that that's kind of the direction that all this is all going in. And even the military, a lot of the stuff that they're developing is either missile defense stuff with lasers and okay, well, I guess I should go farther into that.
Lasers? No, I keep going.
But yeah, they have a laser missile defense system that you can mount to a ship that will, that'll target whatever missile is being fired at it and just take out, I think, the rocket portion of it. So it just dives into the ground, wherever it is.
Right.
But obviously, these are on ships. It dives into the ocean and nothing happens to it. So I think those kinds of things are really cool. It's kind of like the Star Wars program that Reagan was talking about, except for mounted to ships. Like, it's a really cool defensive thing that I think that's the kind of stuff that the military should be investing in.
Right. More precise, more recognizable.
Right.
Like,
safer things that are actually going to make us safer, not things that, obviously the military industrial complex and that kind of stuff. This is a very, torturous podcast.
Well, yeah, I was going to ask
this particular subject.
I was going to ask you a question: is like, where do you come down on the line of like the moral ramifications of like, as we get more technologically advanced and have like drone strikes and stuff, like, is there something about like, oh, that's just a little blue dot that I killed, or if it's like, should we show the drone pilot like, and that's where his head came off, and you can see the blood? Like, should we do that kind of stuff? Like, because we can do pretty good photographs from satellite imagery, and we're only getting better. Like, I wonder about that. Like, should we involve that moral, conundrum into the military on a unit-based level? And
I think the answer for me, having been somebody who's an infantry and was deployed to Iraq for 2 years, I think that if we remove the human component, like I do not want robot armies. That is something I absolutely do not put my foot down right now. No robot armies for anybody, because that's taking the cost of war out for one side of the equation and putting it completely, the human cost of war, on whatever side doesn't have robots.
Right. Well, I think that's probably the best, is that we all just become robots. So like, there's no deaths. No, I know what you're saying.
But yeah, I think, I do think that there should be, and in all honesty, if I could have a magic wish that changed the military in one specific way, I would probably make it so we didn't have the use of guns anymore. I would just swords, sticks. That's how swords. That's how wars happen again. Because honestly, there's fewer deaths that way, and it matters a lot more.
And you have to look in their eyes when you stab them.
Yeah, that's the consequences of war.
Oh, wow. See, I think that
I'm very extreme in that.
I love that on our sci-fi podcast. You're like, what's the best weapon? And you're like, I don't know, like a sword, like a knife, something you like. I don't know, like a club. You just pick up a piece of wood from the ground and fight with that. That's like really good sci-fi. That just shows that. I think that's just a response to guns
that's just
bad. It actually, the moral quandary, I had like a purpose with my question because I think it has the best sci-fi gun in my opinion, and we should start thinking outside the box about just like things that shoot things. That's what a gun is, not necessarily like the harmful aspects of it, although that's still a consideration. But my favorite gun is the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the empathy gun.
Yeah.
Because I think that's I don't think that Douglas Adams really milked that concept, and it's such a fucking cool concept. Yeah. Because like to the point that it's like, no, it's not even a gun, it's like a medical device. You know, it's just like, all right, bring out your kids, and then it's just like one of the kids is like new Hitler, and it's just like you shoot new Hitler with an empathy gun, and you go, oh, dude, you know, like that's to me. That's what I know that's getting into thought police and stuff like that. You get the psychopaths pretty early because you just get someone who's just like, fuck, I fucking hate my job, but man, I'm keeping Hitlers from happening. You know, like where there's just a scientist or a medical officer that's just like, they're just taking it all. They're just every human that they see, they're just like that. I understand what it means to be like you, and I think that you have bad thoughts, or I think that like we need to save you and you need help or something like that. Like there's so much being able to categorize empathy, like, cause that's how Douglas Adams used it, is he was like, it expands your mind because you're like, oh, I now know what it is to walk in your shoes kind of stuff. But I think that there's like more social ramifications that he didn't really go into, which is just like, imagine that, like if you had an empathy gun, dude, voting over. Just get all the politicians, shoot them, and we'll all now know the winner. Because we'll be like, and with the score of best in the room, this guy. So I think that's the best gun because it's like anti-gun. Yeah. It's more like figuring things out. So it's not exactly anti-gun, but it's also like, it's just a really cool kind of ray, you know? Yeah. It's better than like the brown noise ray, which just makes you poop. Yes. You know, like, good job, inventor. But this guy's got an empathy ray. It's
like a six stick.
I don't think the empathy ray can ever be developed because what is empathy and what is intelligence? And these are two questions I like to ask myself every day when I wake up. Let's keep going. Let's keep chugging along. What are other good guns you got?
Yeah, but I think on that note, there's I was thinking of like the best ones. And I think some of the coolest stuff that we have in development right now, like I said, is the missile defense stuff. And we're developing a railgun. We have the ability to make them right now, which essentially they're using a magnetic coil to launch pieces of metal at super high speeds.
Sounds dangerous.
Yes, it is extremely dangerous. Yeah. But because there's no recoil, there's not a lot of moving parts in it, it's extremely accurate. And you can basically they're just using tungsten rods to shoot. And they're going at higher speeds than guns are now because there's no, like I said, there's no recoil for the actual magnetic loop launching a piece of metal. And that's something that we could use for literally like planetary defense. We could use it to take out asteroids and stuff like that because you're taking something that is basically you can take large pieces of metal and use them to break up stuff like comets or asteroids and stuff like that. And I think that's really cool because you're using magnets.
But what if I had like because for every gun they develop a defense mechanism, you know, to beat the gun. That's what shields are, beating the swords. I feel like that would be a cool science fiction concept. Is that like if all like if all of a army use these magnet guns, you have like an iron nickel like suit that has like these two wings essentially that jut out from you, so it fucks the magnetism up enough. You know, these like really strong magnets.
That is really cool.
You know, like multiple Tesla's magnets, and then they just go right into the shield, and even though you're shooting at you, they're just like going left
curving
and right,
away.
And then you have to develop new magnets, I guess.
Yeah, arms races forever.
That would be a cool concept.
I like that a lot.
Or like we like to do in this podcast, we always got to throw out to the core. The solution always is blow up a bunch of nukes in the core. By making a train. Get on it, Elon. All right. What are other cool guns? Let's keep talking.
I mean, of course, there's stuff like the Death Star is essentially just a big gun.
Yeah.
But like, I think the Death Star is something that kind of points out, really, this is philosophy, that in an arms race, it's just a never-ending race. Once you get to a certain level, you're destroying planets at that point, but there's still, like, in the Star Wars universe, there's still, and now they're destroying entire planetary systems with one thing that's powered by a planet.
Yeah, it's just a big laser.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, that's cool.
It is cool.
It is cool, but like phasers and lasers are essentially like the same concept.
Right.
Like rarely is it talked about in sci-fi. Other than that, like kind of in the same way that they talk about hyperspace or faster than light travel, they just go, it goes fast. And in this case, it's just real big, and it's like lasers, but like it's like hot, and so it like cuts through stuff. So it's a gun. There's not a lot of sci-fi on different types of lasers other than bigger or smaller lasers.
Yeah,
I mean, they look different in sci-fi films. Like sometimes it's a blue one, just like lightsabers. Sometimes there's a blue one. But I don't know. That's I mean, laser weaponry, we haven't really developed it.
Right. We're working on it right now with, like I said, the missile defense stuff that you can put on a ship,
which is
a laser.
Is that okay? So that's actually
that's a laser.
Not like a orientation. Like that's not like laser base guidance system. That's actual like burn through
it burns through it'll burn through the missile and disrupting it and causing it to miss the target.
I've seen photos of it.
Yeah.
It's basically just looks like an anti-aircraft gun.
Yeah, and you can't see the beam.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It's not as cool, I guess.
It's not cool. I mean, what's sexy about an invisible gun?
Just a heat beam that you can't see.
Yeah.
That's true.
I like one of my other favorite guns is the portal gun.
Sure.
I think that one's great because anything that like just fucks with physics is amazing. Obviously, that's creating wormholes in random places, so the science is pretty far off, I would assume. But just the idea of like another the Days of Future Past, the X-Men. I forget because I don't do comics, but the mutant lady who can just like go through portals. She's basically a portal gun. And she uses like, all right, in the same way that like the game Portal does, like, oh, how do you build momentum? Well, if you don't think of things as just an XY principle, how about you drop and use gravity and use the momentum of gravity and your terminal velocity to punch a dude?
Yeah.
Like that's
I think
awesome.
her name was Blink in that movie.
Yeah,
Something
Blink, yeah. And I think that would be a really cool, like, so imagine like Braveheart or like one of those big John Tall or like, huge fighting sequences in movies, but everyone's got a portal gun and everyone's just punching each other by falling. And like, and then like now what it is is instead of just a flat plane of like in Braveheart where they're just like fighting on the ground, the strategic advantage is you have a cliffside. And so you just like a bunch of people just jump off the cliff and then just punch the shit out of their enemy. That is a cool battle in sci-fi. Cool. Just a bunch of people falling, but really they're like controlled falling. And they just keep doing the loop. They like, I'm just going to punch you on my way down and shoot right at your feet, or I'm going to shoot you and drop you, like, or what you do is like, you just have, they just fly a plane that just has like whatever the stuff that is made of in the Portal world that you can actually shoot
the plane and then
and just like shoot the ground. And so you're just like, I'm dropping you fools from like 500 feet. Like that is a really effective
cool.
gun.
Yeah.
And imagine now you have like 800 warriors against like as many as you can count, because they're on a cliffside just shooting literally the ground from beneath your feet. I always think about like what happens if you shoot, like what if you made a suit of the portal gun material?
Yeah.
Like what does that do? So does like, because I mean, other than like sex stuff, because then you could like just like shoot hold the gun and shoot your thigh and you could jack yourself off. That's a cool gun. That saves some lives right there. But Portal never really tapped that, or maybe they did. Maybe it didn't play long enough in Portal 2. I don't think they
did.
Made a suit out of it.
Right.
I know at one point they shoot the moon. Because it's like made out of moon stuff, which is like whatever. Moon dust is not special.
Yeah,
it's not that special. It's made of
carbon.
It's made of the same stuff. It's like helium-3 and stuff. Man, it's just like that would be a cool. That's what in sci-fi the coolest guns are to me, is
the like, non-linear thinking ones.
The non-linear thinking ones that also cause like the defense mechanism to be like clever. I think those are cool sci-fi.
Yeah, because like in Half-Life you have something like I think it's the gravity gun. It's the magnetic one that you can shoot. Yeah. You can shoot junk.
Yeah,
and
gravity.
And that one is cool.
Or gravity well, yeah.
Right. That one is cool, but it doesn't really change the way that guns function or like what you can do with a gun.
It utilizes like an exaggeration of physics as opposed to like thinking of new physics, which is what like the portal gun would do.
Yeah, so of course like the multi-use ones are really cool. There's the one from why can't I remember what it's called right now? Fifth Element.
The ZF. The one that Gary Oldman's trying to sell to all those, the
multifunctional one that and Bruce Willis never actually gets to use. Yeah, unfortunately.
That's just like Swiss Army gun, though.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. It's not really changing the way that guns are, but the multifunction ones are always really cool. Like even in Star Trek, the phasers, because you have 3 different settings. You can
stun
stun, kill, disintegrate, which hopefully you don't use disintegrate too much.
Yeah, sometimes you got to disintegrate. It's true.
My only question with that is, how does the disintegrate bolt or whatever stop? Because if it's just disintegrating things.
Yeah. I mean, once again, to mention the core, that's one of the things. He like cuts through the mountain and it like cuts through way too many mountains and stuff. And it's just like, how do you know when to stop if you don't have like a lead backing or something like
eventually
that
does it just go into space?
Yeah, I mean hypothetically, like because disintegrate is just like they have to have like, I think they're fucking with like subspace or something. Like it creates a bubble around whatever concrete object or something like that, because that's the only way that they could logic it out. I haven't read any canon from Star Trek if anyone's ever explained it, but like I'm sure if you really were to force that question.
Yeah, because if I was going to make something like that disintegrated things, I would like just use a shotgun with nanobots in the shell that just ate whatever it was that they ran into, that they impacted on.
Yeah. See,
that's a much more violent way of disintegrating though.
But once again, portal gun, you could just, you have a problem.
It's true.
And then you shoot beneath the problem, and then you shoot at the moon. Problem solved. Disintegrated.
Just a bunch of dead bodies on the moon.
Yeah. Oh, you think my problems are just people? Yeah. I mean, that's basically what I was going for with the joke. I was going to go even darker with it and just like, yeah, I'm on my 50th cat now. Just send that cat into space. But I mean, like, that's pretty cool. Moon cat, that's it's a beautiful gun. It's beautiful because it depends on how much of a psychopath you are. Yeah. And I'm pretty psychopathy.
So, yeah. Tell me about the sonic screwdriver, Abe. I know only a little bit about it.
The sonic screwdriver, I mean, once again, like we like to delineate in this.
Yeah.
We like to talk about it hard harder sci-fi,
right?
And sci-fi in general. Obviously, lightsabers and sonic screwdrivers are fantasy.
They're fantasy, yeah.
Because I'll just point to one exaggeration, which is the stupid exaggeration ever, which is that it's this super cool thing that like can take any complex device, like any machine and stuff like that, and like it can cut through any lock by just like basically any mechanism that you need to like make a hole into kind of idea, or you need to like, it will unlock it. It's usually used for doors, but it's also used for like fixing computers, anything mechanical, and apparently fairly and even digital works on with this.
So it's like a magic wand, basically.
But it's canon because Doctor Who's just goofy. It's canon, and I don't know when it happened. The problem with Doctor Who is they have to live with the bed that they made in like the 60s. So they're just like the excuse they use with the sonic screwdriver doesn't work on wood. But since it was like probably designed at that time, it might as well have been like sonic screwdriver works except when you're really high, or something like that. Like there's just, it seems like that matters. Like for some reason that wood can't be mechanical, which is not true.
Right.
Because I don't know if you know about mechanical things, but most of them started with wood. So like a wooden door thwarts the Doctor a few times. And it's just like, that's a weird thing to be thwarted by. But that's what they're going for. They're trying to be silly. They're like, haha, he doesn't work on something. And they make a game out of like, why is that true? And they like call attention to it. And he goes like, it's very complex. I can't explain. Kind of like in Looper, it's just like, don't talk about time travel. It's just like they're making a joke out of it.
Right.
And so I give them props for that. But like more or less, it's like the dumbest thing to just latch onto and be like, that's the funny thing. It could be anything.
Yeah.
It could literally be anything. It's science fiction. It's fantasy. Like it's just stupid. That's all. That's my Doctor Who rant. It's not that the show is entirely stupid, but that is a really stupid
very
aspect
silly.
of it. It is a bad gun. Screwdriver. It's a screwdriver, I guess, for some reason.
Because screwdrivers are not normally thwarted by wood.
Yeah. Also, you don't like. I'm like, oh shit, my door's locked. Better get my screwdriver. That's also stupid. But that's how he uses it. And I'm not here to shame Doctor Who for being stupid.
No.
What else we got?
That was just a couple of the other ones that kind of round up into just your normal kind of guns. Noisy Cricket from Men in Black. That's a pretty stereotypical sci-fi. They have like really normal sci-fi guns. Obviously, the joke is that it's tiny and it shoots a giant explosion. Yeah. But it's still just a normal kind of gun.
Yeah, it's just a huge explosive. Yeah. Right? It makes in a circle, like it disintegrates most stuff. Yeah. But it's very tiny. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the coolest ones when I was researching this is the bone gun from Existenz.
I don't remember this. I feel like I know I've seen Existenz, but it was so long ago because it came out in 1999. And I can't remember. Explain the bone gun.
It's just a gun made out of bones.
Oh, well, that's dumb. That is a dumb gun.
It shoots teeth. And
what? How do I not remember this?
I don't know.
I know. It's rhetorical. But that's not a sci-fi gun.
Right? I mean, that's true. That's not a sci-fi gun. It's kind of a sci-fi gun because I don't know exactly how the teeth bullets work. Like, how does it shoot the teeth?
No, that's just a gun that Gary Busey thought of. Like, that's just a psychopath who's just like, what if the gun was like shoots teeth? Like, what does it use for propellant? Like,
that's what I couldn't figure it out. Like, I saw it and I'm like, oh, okay, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, like your railgun.
It's just using bones?
That is a stupid gun. That is probably the worst. Like, it sounds like I know why they did it because they're like, because like cool. Bones are cool though. It's like real metal. That is the stupidest. Because bone isn't even like...
No, it's not super durable at all.
I mean, like, yeah. If you're just like... Also, your ammunition is limited by the amount of people and their teeth. I guess organisms, you could put like shark teeth in there.
Sure.
They're probably better.
You could put dog teeth. I don't know.
Yeah, but dog teeth. But that means you have to go out and get dog teeth, which is not something like when I wake up, I'm like, I got to send an email. I got to go get some dog teeth to feed my gun bones.
And like not all teeth are the same size, so I don't know how the barrel works exactly.
Yeah.
Like different size people have different size teeth.
Yeah, well, yeah, more or less to a factor, yeah.
So, like, I don't know does it just shoot canines? Does it shoot molars? I don't know. This is a very weird thing, but I saw it and I was like, oh, that looks really cool. Wait, no, it's just
No, it's just invented by a very angry dentist.
Yeah.
I don't need to talk about the bone gun anymore. That's a stupid gun. That's my official position.
The arc gun from District 9. So it's a lightning gun. Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. Like they have a similar thing in the Matrix, but that one's actually just a tool that they're
It's more or less Ghostbusters for non-ghosts.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're just shooting lightning at something.
Yeah, it's cool.
Which is it is cool.
Yeah, and it's like we have that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have like I remember when I was growing up, one of the biggest games that I played was like Command and Conquer, and there's Tesla coils, which are just these huge, essentially turrets or like pillboxes that just electrocute people. And you see their bones and then, you know, like, but like more or less, it's just that is a very effective. Is just you fry your opponent with the power of Zeus.
Yeah, they have that in like Fallout now. You can make Tesla traps and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a cool gun.
Yeah, that one's pretty cool.
I see the pulse rifle from Aliens.
that one's probably the most iconic one, I think, out of any of these, except for maybe like as far as the weapons go.
They don't really talk about it in the
iconic.
movie about like how it works or anything.
Right.
It's just kind of has a unique sound and looks cool and like has a effect.
It's just super well designed and like it's really and it has the grenade option with the pulse gun. And so I mean it was just one thing that I was like, I don't know who exactly was the prop master for Aliens, but it's just a really cool looking thing.
Right, yeah.
Like Aliens is, and that's one thing that we can get into this another time, but Aliens is one of my favorite. It's probably my favorite like military movie.
Yeah, right on.
Because it's not a typical one. I'm like, I could say Saving Private Ryan because that's just a good movie. But Aliens, as far as like the actual military stuff is concerned, it's probably my favorite one because the Colonial Marines, I guess the way that they interact, and like James Cameron was basically making a Vietnam movie. They were all getting attacked from angles that they couldn't see where the people were coming from, where the aliens were coming from. About a lot of the but anyways, well, that's for a different podcast about Christian's favorite military movies.
Right.
But yeah, the pulse rifle is really, it's just like, that's the coolest gun, like one of the coolest looking ones. So yeah. That's on the list. Not a lot to say about it though.
No,
it's just normal gun.
I'm still thinking about the bone gun. Because I do think if it wasn't what it is in existence, which is all the things we said, but if it was like more like the empathy gun, you know where I'm getting at? Make love, not war. Yeah. Let's make it a gun. That's not even a joke. I'm just doing a tirade to talk about bone guns because I think that's funny. Yeah,
the bone gun is a very funny sounding gun.
I think it's the best gun now. I'm gonna complete 180 because if it's a gun that makes you bone, I'm on board.
Yeah, it's like Cupid's arrow is just more severe.
Well, Viagra is like teeth shaped, so you could like fire it into the mouth and then you're good to go because that's how Viagra works. I don't know how Viagra works. Probably like most pills though.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I think I'm still gonna give it to 100% of the time clever in like guns that I think that like we were talking about. There's another one that's non-lethal. Talking about at the top of this podcast what you're saying about like there's a category of guns that are just smart because they don't kill you. In Incredibles, Syndrome's like balloon gun, I guess they're like turrets on the wall that Mr. Incredible tries to run through essentially a bridge, and he gets hit, and they hit you, and they're sticky, and you can't get them off unless you're like super strong like Mr. Incredible. But they just make a balloon. They just balloon up, and so if you get hit by a bunch of them, you're now just you can't move. And I think that that's cool, like sticky guns, or you know, like I think there's some cool concepts, and I can't think right off the top of my head of like sticky gun concepts other than that
like
one.
web shooters. Spider-Man has those.
That kind of thing where it just incapacitates you, and lack of motion and movement, like you can't do anything. Or it's like you said, like with Spider-Man, it's a web that can catch things, because when you start using guns for like cool ways, like, oh, it's a gun, even though like Spider-Man's web slinger isn't a gun, but like in this metaphor it kind of is.
You could make it a
projectile.
Gun. It's pretty much it's a projectile weapon.
Yeah, like you can use it to save someone, like a landing net, like you know, or you can shut someone up by hitting them in the face and covering their mouth, or you can also, you know, just not kill people, but like fight your enemy and, you know, put their arms against the wall kind of thing. Those are clever guns that I should think that obviously the science has to be there to back it up. But like science, what this podcast is about. We should put time into like web slinging kind of stuff. I know that we have like spider silk and stuff like that. And there's a really strong, like I think they genetically engineered like not a spider, but like a silk essentially that is super durable, kind of like in
super high tensile strength,
kind of like in Spider-Man, where it can like hold a huge yield, you know, just per inch or whatever. And that kind of development, to me, that like the second that we stop being reliant on just like it go boom, it explode,
small piece of metal kills you,
kills you, your body is all over the place, and be more reliant on, you know,
our innovation.
Our innovation. That's where the cool gun's at.
Yeah.
Or you use them like the portal gun and you become an absolute monster.
You could shoot people with goo or something, like Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's weird when you say it like that.
It is goo.
It is. Yeah, it is.
Just sticking them to the ground.
It's goo. Ew. Anything else you want to talk about?
I mean, I do want to talk about the ones that are like currently being developed for use in the military.
Hit us.
One of the coolest ones that they're using right now, it's basically an area defense weapon. It's like crowd control. It's a directional microwave. Essentially, it heats up. It has the same function as a microwave, but it's not lethal as far as they've tested it. Because I guess if you overloaded it or something,
will be so many gremlins in the microwave.
Exactly. But it basically heats up the water that's on the surface of your skin to a point that where it's uncomfortable. The worst thing that it's done is cause blistering. But other than that, it just makes you so hot that you need to get away from whatever it is. Right. And so they've used that in military bases in Afghanistan, I think, a couple times. They also have kind of sonic weapons that aren't, I mean, obviously those are kind of dangerous because you can burst people's eardrums and stuff like that. Right. But super high frequency guns that that you just aim at crowds or an area of people, and it just becomes painful enough that they will flee from wherever it is. And those are, I mean, a lot of this stuff is in the less lethal category that's being developed right now, because the actual function of bullets and stuff like that, it's not going to really get any more effective. It does what it does.
I like the simplicity of that design though, because that's like when mammals were evolving, like we basically made our voice like a gun. You know, like it's as simple as that. Like just like I want to make a thing that's loud and like angry and you don't like it, and so you leave, and that's like basically what like barking is. You know, just like get the fuck out of here. And you're like, I don't like this thing barking at me. It's shitty. That's a good gun.
Yeah, it is. And I think, like you said, the non, like I mentioned, the non-linear ways of thinking about the weapons is really cool, because even since the beginning of when humans were developing weapons, we use things like spears, but then on other parts of the world they were developing a thing called an atlatl, which is a spear with a little hinge stick that makes it so you can throw it farther. And other parts of the world were developing like bolos, and other parts were developing nets and stuff
or like how
that.
the longbow changed the game in
exactly.
European warfare.
Then a compound bow replaced that, and so I think all the stuff anything that we can do that's like out of the box thinking is always going to be the coolest stuff in sci-fi, which is why at the top of the podcast I had to mention Minority Report, because the sonic shotgun and the six stick are extremely outside the box kind of things. Mm-hmm. And I just think those are the coolest.
Yeah. It's like, I wonder if they developed like something that would like terrify you, like a gun that just terrifies you. Not like physically but maybe something that, I don't know, like shoots bones at you, because that would terrify me if I was like, he's throwing my bones at me. I should not fuck with this guy. Didn't even hurt. I'm just like haunted.
But we do have the frequency that makes you feel unsettled or like afraid. Mm-hmm. That like we've discovered that frequency. So I guess you could make a sonic gun that just made people afraid. Mm-hmm. We have like a miniaturized tank that can carry a bunch of like an entire platoon or squad's worth of gear with it and still has a gun attached to it. But like, that's just killer robots, and like we've talked about killer robots. Adding a gun
to a thing that already exists.
Exactly.
It's like, I made a snowman. Cool. What's cool about it? It's got a gun on it. Well, all right.
I made a gun horse. What's that? It's a horse
really
with a
cool
gun.
Horse. Yeah, because I've seen. You were showing me links of it, because they basically just take an ATV and add a gun to it, and they're like, new gun. I'm like, oh, not really new gun.
Putting two things together.
But
monkey gun.
Monkey gun. Like, I like this at the Pentagon, where they're just having the napkin meeting of guns, and they're just brainstorming. There's like a whiteboard that's just like unused, because they're just spitballing at the stage. They're not even breaking it down, like how to make it. They're just like, I don't know, shark gun. What about a gun that fires tiny guns?
It's just a bunch of different things that aren't guns, and then gun on one side.
Yeah. It's a Venn diagram of guns and everything else, and then in the middle is just new guns.
Tree gun.
Yeah. That's bone gun? All right. I've milked all I need to out of that, Jake.
That's good. A lot of the other stuff is just drone technology and stuff similar to that, which once again, it's just robot guns. Like, so I mean, those ones aren't as interesting to me.
Fucking Watson's gonna do it. Fucking Watson, hate that guy. Thinks he's better at me at Jeopardy. Fucking piece of shit. All right. Don't give Watson a gun. Use bones.
Just imagining Watson on the set of Jeopardy pulling out a gun.
Yeah, on Alex Trebek, he's like, show me the safe. Alex Trebek's like, calm down, Watson. I'll show you the safe. Because all that Jeopardy money's coming from somewhere. It's got to be Alex Trebek's safe. So yeah, use bone guns, use magnet guns, and I don't know. I still think portal gun wins.
Yeah, I think that one's probably the coolest.
I mean, just think of that battlefield.
I'll give it to you. Yeah,
it's pretty dope.
Yeah,
it's pretty dope.
Whoa. Hey, everybody. Swaim here. With added excitement in my voice because it might equate to money for me. I just wanted to officially let everyone know, through the medium of audio rather than tweets, that Small Beans has a merch store now. Yeah, that's right. And this is not just some cash grab with the logos of our shows, although you can get logo tees there if you'd like. We worked very hard with several very talented artists to really present you with shirts and buttons and content to come that we really think is worth your purchase and you're going to enjoy. And if you're someone who hasn't been able to patronize us, this is a fantastic way to support Small Beans directly without having to sign up for Patreon. And of course, you get a physical item in return rather than just our glorious content, which will remain free, but is is not free to make, so we'd really appreciate anyone who's willing to check out the SB merch store. It is at smallbeans.bigcartel.com, and there you will find a bunch of hilarious shirt designs, some limited edition buttons, as well as an ever-increasing amount of audio content to download. We're talking original rap songs, audiobook versions of short stories, and so on. And we're always brainstorming and trying to add new things to the shop, but we'll stop if no one goes there. So please check it out, smallbeans.bigcartel.com. And as always, we love you. We love you. We love you. We love you. We love you.